In the heart of Canada's political landscape, a scandal has erupted that shakes the very foundation of public trust in the Liberal government. The Sustainable Development Technology Canada (SDTC) scandal, infamously dubbed the Green Slush Fund, is a sordid saga of greed, cronyism, and betrayal, orchestrated by the Liberal elite under Justin Trudeau's watch. This isn't just a story of mismanagement, it's a deliberate plundering of taxpayer dollars, funneled to Liberal insiders while cloaked in the noble guise of environmental progress. Buckle up for a thrilling deep dive into how the Liberals' corrupt practices brought us to this crisis, step by step, exposing a web of deceit that has paralyzed Parliament and enraged Canadians. The Green Slush Fund scandal, centered around Sustainable Development Technology Canada (SDTC), involves several key players whose actions or affiliations have fueled allegations of Liberal corruption. Here's a rundown of the central figures and their roles, laid out with the savage detail you requested, pinning the blame squarely on the Liberal government's cronyism. Stephen Guilbeault, Environment Minister. The scandal's poster child, Guilbeault is neck-deep in controversy due to his ties to Cycle Capital, a venture capital firm that scored an estimated $114 million to $200 million in SDTC grants. As a former strategic advisor and shareholder in Cycle Capital, Guilbeault's fingerprints are all over the conflict of interest mess. Conservative MP Rick Perkins has accused him of personally profiting, alleging he stuffed his pockets while pushing a green agenda that masked insider deals. Guilbeault's evasive responses about his holdings and his role in appointing Cycle Capital's unravel method to SDTC's board scream Liberal corruption. His refusal to come clean has only deepened suspicions that the Liberals engineered this scheme to enrich their allies. Annette Verschuren, former SDTC board chair handpicked by the Liberals in 2018, Verschuren was the ringleader at SDTC, overseeing a board riddled with conflicts. The Auditor General's June 2024 report exposed her approving over $200,000 in grants to her own company, NR Store, during the COVID-19 pandemic, flouting ethics rules. Her leadership enabled 186 conflicted projects worth nearly $400 million, a staggering betrayal of public trust. The Liberals' decision to appoint her, knowing her business ties, set the stage for the slush fund, proving their intent to weaponize SDTC for their cronies. Unravel Method, SDTC board member, Cycle Capital founder. Method, a close associate of Guilbeault, sat on SDTC's board while her firm, Cycle Capital, raked in massive grants. Her presence ensured that Liberal-friendly firms like hers got priority, with the Auditor General flagging $76 million in conflict-tainted transactions. The Liberals' choice to place her in a position of power, despite her obvious conflicts, reeks of deliberate favoritism, turning SDTC into a pipeline for their allies' enrichment. François-Philippe Champagne, Innovation Minister. As the minister overseeing SDTC, Champagne failed spectacularly to monitor the agency's compliance, as confirmed by the Auditor General. His ministry's negligence allowed the board to run wild, approving conflicted grants and inflating environmental claims. When the scandal broke, Champagne announced SDTC's dissolution in June 2024, a move critics call a Liberal cover-up to bury evidence. His refusal to release unredacted documents, defying a parliamentary motion, has paralyzed the government and cemented his role in the Liberals' obstructionist tactics. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister. The buck stops with Trudeau, whose leadership has fostered a culture of Liberal entitlement and corruption. From We Charity to Arrive Can, his government's track record of funneling public funds to insiders finds its apex in the SDTC scandal. His failure to hold Guilbeault, Champagne, or others accountable, coupled with the Liberals' stonewalling of Parliament, proves he's complicit in protecting this corrupt scheme. Trudeau's green rhetoric is a sham, hiding a machine that rewards loyalty over integrity. Mark Carney, Liberal economic advisor. While not directly tied to SDTC's operations, Carney's role as a Liberal insider and climate finance advocate makes him a peripheral but suspicious figure. Social media speculation, particularly on X, suggests his economic task force and push for massive green investments align with the Liberals' questionable funding schemes. Though evidence of his direct involvement is thin, His high-profile status and cozy relationship with Trudeau raise questions about how deep the Liberal cronyism goes. The Liberals' reliance on figures like Carney to sell their green agenda only fuels distrust. Whistleblowers, unnamed SDTC employees. The unsung heroes, about 20 current and former SDTC staff, risked retaliation to expose the scandal in 2022. Their 300-page dossier detailed $150 million in misappropriated funds, including $40 million in dubious COVID relief payments. One whistleblower's 2023 parliamentary testimony laid bare the toxic culture and habitual conflicts under Liberal oversight. Their courage forced the Auditor General's investigation, blowing the lid off the Liberals' corrupt practices. Karen Hogan, Auditor General Hogan's June 2024 report, was the dynamite that exposed the Liberals' rot. She uncovered $400 million in conflicted SDTC grants, $59 million in ineligible projects, and inflated environmental claims, directly implicating Liberal mismanagement. Her findings gave Conservatives ammunition to demand accountability, making her a pivotal player in holding the Liberals' feet to the fire. Rick Perkins, Conservative MP. The pitbull of accountability, Perkins has led the charge against Guilbeault and the Liberals, relentlessly exposing Cycle Capital's windfall and Guilbeault's conflicts. His fiery parliamentary battles and public accusations have kept the scandal in the spotlight, forcing Canadians to confront the Liberals' betrayal. The story begins in 2001, when the Liberal government under Jean Chrétien established SDTC as a Crown corporation to fund innovative cleantech projects. It was sold to Canadians as a beacon of environmental hope, a way to support small and medium-sized businesses developing sustainable technologies. For years, SDTC operated smoothly, even earning a clean bill of health from the Auditor General in 2017. But when Justin Trudeau's Liberals took power in 2015, the stage was set for this noble institution to be hijacked. The Liberals saw SDTC not as a tool for progress but as a piggy bank for their cronies. Their green agenda, draped in virtuous rhetoric, became a Trojan horse for funneling hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars to their allies. This wasn't about saving the planet, it was about enriching Liberal insiders. The story began in 2018, when the Liberals, under then Innovation Minister Navdeep Bains, ousted the SDTC's existing board chair, who had dared to criticize government legislation. In his place, they appointed Annette Verschuren, a well-connected businesswoman and CEO of NR Store, a company already receiving government funding. This move was no accident, it was a calculated step to stack the SDTC board with loyalists who would play ball. Verschuren, handpicked by the Liberals, was joined by other board members with ties to Liberal-friendly firms, including André Lee's Method of Cycle Capital, a venture capital firm with deep connections to Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault. These appointments weren't about expertise, they were about ensuring a pipeline of cash to Liberal allies. The Liberals had effectively turned SDTC into a slush fund, with their cronies holding the purse strings. With their puppets in place, the Liberals unleashed a feeding frenzy. The Auditor General's June 2024 report, a bombshell that blew the lid off the scandal, revealed that SDTC's board approved 186 projects worth nearly $400 million in which board members had conflicts of interest. That's right, board members were voting to give taxpayer money to their own companies or those of their associates. Verschuren herself approved over $200,000 in grants to her own firm, NR Store, during the COVID-19 pandemic, claiming it was all above board based on a questionable legal opinion. Meanwhile, Cycle Capital, linked to Guilbeault, raked in an estimated $114 million to $200 million in SDTC funding. Guilbeault, a former strategic advisor and shareholder in Cycle Capital, stood to benefit personally, a fact he's dodged with infuriating evasiveness. The Auditor General found that 82% of the 226 transactions sampled were tainted by conflicts, and if that ratio held, the total could climb to a staggering $832 million in improper funding. This wasn't oversight, it was a deliberate scheme to siphon public funds into private pockets. The Liberals might have gotten away with this heist if not for the courage of SDTC whistleblowers. In 2022, a group of about 20 current and former employees, fed up with the gross mismanagement and toxic work environment, compiled a 300-page dossier of allegations and sent it to the Privy Council office. They detailed how $150 million in taxpayer money was misappropriated, including $40 million in COVID-era relief payments to companies that didn't need them, allegedly to help executives meet performance targets and secure bonuses. The whistleblowers faced retaliation risks, with many bound by non-disclosure agreements, but one former employee, who worked at SDTC from 2020 to 2022, testified openly before a parliamentary committee in December 2023. His explosive testimony revealed a culture of favoritism, ignored complaints, and habitual conflict of interest violations, all under the Liberals' watch. The Liberals' response: silence and deflection, hoping the storm would pass. The whistleblowers' courage prompted Auditor General Karen Hogan to launch an investigation, and her June 2024 report was a savage indictment of Liberal corruption. She uncovered significant lapses in SDTC's governance, including 90 instances of conflict of interest violations worth $76 million and $59 million awarded to 10 ineligible projects. Hogan also found that SDTC routinely overstated the environmental benefits of its projects, inflating greenhouse gas reduction claims by half in some cases. The blame fell squarely on Innovation Minister François-Philippe Champagne's ministry, which failed to monitor SDTC's compliance with its funding agreements. This wasn't just incompetence, it was willful negligence, allowing Liberal insiders to run amok with taxpayer money. The report was a wake-up call, exposing the Liberals' green agenda as a sham to enrich their friends while Canadians footed the bill. Faced with this damning evidence, the Liberals didn't come clean, they doubled down. In June 2024, Champagne announced SDTC's dissolution, transferring its funds to the National Research Council to rebuild public trust. But this was a smokescreen. The Liberals refused to release unredacted SDTC documents, despite a June 10 parliamentary motion demanding they be handed over to the RCMP within 14 days. House Speaker Greg Fergus ruled in September 2024 that the Liberals were in contempt of Parliament for withholding these records, a rare and serious rebuke. The Liberals claimed releasing the documents would blur the lines between Parliament and police, but this was a flimsy excuse to hide their tracks. Even as the RCMP confirmed ongoing investigations into SDTC in October 2024, the Liberals continued to redact and withhold documents, paralyzing Parliament for weeks. Their obstructionism screams guilt. Why else would they risk grinding the government to a halt? At the heart of this scandal is Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, whose ties to Cycle Capital have raised red flags. Guilbeault, a former environmental activist lionized by the Liberals, worked as a strategic advisor for Cycle Capital for a decade before entering politics and holds shares in the firm. Conservative MP Rick Perkins has relentlessly pursued this angle, alleging that Guilbeault stuffed his pockets with SDTC money through Cycle Capital's massive grants. While Guilbeault denies wrongdoing, his refusal to disclose details about his holdings only fuels suspicion. The Liberals' decision to appoint board members like Method, a Cycle Capital official, to SDTC's board ensured that Guilbeault's allies could steer funds to his former firm. This isn't just a conflict of interest, it's a betrayal of public trust, with the Liberals using their green credentials to mask personal enrichment. Mark Carney, the former Bank of Canada governor and Liberal economic advisor, enters the narrative as a figure of speculation. While no direct evidence ties him to SDTC's operations, his role as chair of a Liberal task force on economic growth and his climate finance advocacy have raised eyebrows. Posts on X have speculated that Carney, a darling of the Liberal elite, might be linked to the broader green agenda that enabled the SDTC scandal. His push for a $50 billion investment fund with government support has drawn scrutiny, with conservatives questioning potential conflicts of interest. Though Carney's involvement remains unproven, the Liberals' pattern of appointing high-profile allies to influential roles suggests he's not entirely disconnected from their corrupt ecosystem. The mere hint of his involvement adds fuel to the fire, showing how deep the Liberals' cronyism runs. The Liberals' refusal to release unredacted SDTC documents has brought Parliament to a standstill since September 2024. The Conservatives, backed by the NDP and Bloc Québécois, have filibustered, refusing to let government business proceed until the Liberals comply. This isn't just political theater, it's a fight for accountability. The Liberals' stonewalling has eroded public trust, with Canadians rightly outraged that their tax dollars have been used to line the pockets of Liberal insiders. The scandal has drawn comparisons to the 2004 sponsorship scandal, but with stakes far higher, potentially $832 million in improper funding dwarfs the $3.75 million uncovered in that earlier Liberal fiasco. Social media posts on X reflect the public's anger, with users calling out the Liberals' coordinated dictatorship and demanding justice. The Liberals' arrogance, believing they can hide their corruption by stalling Parliament, has only deepened the crisis. The Green Slush Fund scandal is a microcosm of the Trudeau Liberals' 9-year reign of graft and incompetence. From the We Charity debacle, where $912 million was nearly handed to Liberal-friendly insiders, to the $60 million Arrive Can at boondoggle, the Liberals have shown a pattern of prioritizing their allies over Canadians. The SDTC scandal is their crowning achievement in corruption, turning a program meant to fight climate change into a slush fund for their cronies. By appointing conflicted board members, ignoring whistleblower warnings, and obstructing investigations, the Liberals have betrayed the public's trust and weaponized their green agenda for personal gain. The fallout paralyzed Parliament, an RCMP investigation, and a tarnished green legacy was entirely their fault. Canadians deserve better than a government that hides behind environmental platitudes while robbing them blind. The Green Slush Fund scandal is an infuriating tale of Liberal corruption that has brought Canada's government to its knees. From stacking SDTC's board with loyalists to funneling hundreds of millions to their allies, the Liberals have orchestrated a heist of epic proportions. Guilbeault's shady ties, Carney's suspicious presence, and the Liberals' desperate cover-up have exposed their true colours. As Parliament remains gridlocked and the RCMP digs deeper, Canadians must demand accountability. The Liberals' refusal to release unredacted documents proves they have something to hide, something that could unravel their entire government. This scandal isn't just about money, it's about a betrayal of trust that threatens Canada's future. The time for reckoning is now. Power's sexy, deception's deadly, and politics always messy. High stakes, higher lies, and corruption. Power isn't taken, it's bought. Politics has never been so dirty, and baby, we're just getting started. Until the next scandal, XOXO.